Welcome. Welcome to the 11th in a series of shows addressing Brookline as an age-friendly community. As you may know, in 2012, the World Health Organization of the United Nations declared Brookline the first age-friendly community in New England to join its network of age-friendly cities. That was due to a whole set of criteria that was supported by the Board of Selectmen, the Brookline residents themselves, the town administration departments, and a whole set of volunteer organizations that are actively supporting people of all ages. Today we have an interesting subject. We've brought somebody in that runs the volunteer program out of the senior center. The volunteer program involves an intergenerational activity where people of young ages work with people of older people and a whole set of activities. So we're going to learn about both the programs themselves and how to get involved in them, and the people who are the volunteers and what they do. Our guest today is Patricia Burns, and Patricia is the volunteer coordinator at the Senior Center. Patricia is a longtime resident of Brookline, many years, and she was an assistant for many years. She was an assistant country director for the PEPFAR program at the Harvard School of Public Health. The country she worked with was Botswana. Later on, she helped start the Health Sciences College in Ethiopia, moving on to Boston University and acting as a career service advisor. For the last 3 years, we've been very lucky to have Patricia working out of the Senior Center, handling the volunteer programs. Welcome, Patricia.
Thank you.
So, first of all, let's find out what volunteers are and why they are. I have 2 points of view, so I just want to recognize that I want to know how to use those programs. And, but I know people that want to be volunteers. So what is it?
Well, anyone who is looking for someone to help them would call the Senior Center and get put through to me. And I would try and match them up with a volunteer. So I am the proverbial matchmaker.
Great.
And the process starts with you coming in for an interview. The interview is very important because we face-to-face have communication. I find out the kinds of things you've done, the kinds of things you like to do, and sometimes that triggers a whole new possibility for a different volunteer opportunity.
So if I want, now I understand we're talking largely about young people today, but let's pretend I'm young.
Yes.
I like to. And if I came in and I was interested in volunteering, and I would tell you, well, you know, I want to help people. I like to hand out food, things like I've done that before at the food bank and things like this. So I sort of like to, I want to get it in a program. What kind of activities would I have to go through to do that?
Well, you would have to do the application process and a background check.
Okay.
Even if you're 14, you still do a background check.
Short background, but that's all right.
And then once you have been cleared to work with seniors, then I would match you up with one of our food programs. We have 3. We have the Brookline High School and the Brookline Senior Center collaboration on SHOP program. Okay. We have the food commodity program with the Greater Boston Food Bank. And then we have our Tuesday food pantry every Tuesday.
Right. I've seen that. I've come by the Senior Center for various meetings, and I see it's pretty exciting actually, because it's very, very active. But so, in fact, I think we had some pictures of that, of
yes, we do.
The food pantry. So maybe we'll take a look at those. Yeah, so this is actually someone handing out food, is that correct?
Yes, it is. So the young man on the right, who is a college student, is helping a senior find the right kind of bread that he wants, because that is the bread table. We get our donations from Trader Joe's, from Whole Foods, and from Where Pigs Fly, When Pigs Fly.
Right.
Bakery, as well as the
The world will change when pigs fly.
Yes. And here's another, this student is from Bay Cove Academy in Brighton, and she's helping with some produce for a senior.
So they'll actually help them pick it out and help them?
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
This young man is he's from Mexico, and he is volunteering not only in this program, but he also volunteers in the food commodity program.
I want to ask you a few questions because this is my field a little bit, technology. And the technology support area.
Yes.
That to me is really interesting because now you're bringing the youngster in to bring in and bring people up to date. Tell me about it.
Well, who would be better to teach technology than young people who seem to have almost been born with technology in their hand?
Right.
I often have seniors who, after the holidays, come in and say, "Oh, my son gave me this smartphone for Christmas or Hanukkah, and it's smarter than I am." And one lady came back 6 months later, and she said, "Well, I think I sent a text today."
Oh, that's great.
And I said, "Didn't you tell me that you have a 3-year-old granddaughter in California?" She said, "Yes, I talk to her every week, but I only see her once a year. I think she's going to forget who I am."
Oh, my God.
And I said, "Do you know that you could do FaceTime with her?"
Right.
And she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, you could see her when you're talking, and she could see you. So every week you would be seeing each other." And that was really what she needed to really start using her phone.
Oh, that's a completely new way of relating to the family and everything else. That's fantastic.
We have other people who called and said, "I would like to be very independent, and I'd like to know how to use Peapod." So we send somebody over to their house to show them how to use Peapod.
I'd like to know how to use Peapod.
That's right.
That's pretty good.
And
I see the trucks. I have no idea how it works.
the other day, a woman was, I think it's in one of the pictures,
Right.
A woman had come in and said, "I have been standing out at that bus stop freezing for 20 minutes waiting for my bus." And the people in the TRIPS office, our transportation office, heard and said, oh, there's a new app here. It's called Transit. And look, if you download this on your smartphone, you can then know exactly how far away your bus is.
1 minute, 2 stations.
That's right. Exactly. So I think we have, yes.
So let's bring up some of those. Yes, there's a picture of a technology, someone helping.
Right.
What am I looking at?
Well, it's a young person helping Sherry, one of our seniors, showing her how transit works on the smartphone.
Oh, great. So as far as the technology, because that's something that I have a special interest in, and I've watched people struggle with smartphones. I've watched people struggle with computers, and then I see them, and then I discover that some people who are older people and recently started using it become the biggest texters. Well, maybe it's the only way they can get to their grandchildren, now that I think about it.
That's right.
So, what about the food commodity? You had mentioned that, and I looked around and I couldn't find it.
All right, so the food commodity program is actually federally funded through the Greater Boston Food Bank, and it replaces the old food program that was a federal program that
Right,
gave out.
right.
Everybody remembers the cheese.
Right, right.
And they still have the cheese.
They have the cheese.
Yes. So we get that once a month. People do have to be income eligible, and they have to be 60
Okay.
or older.
That's not true of the technology or any of these others.
No.
Right?
So, and it's not true of our food distribution.
Excellent.
Food pantry either. Anyone who comes in the door can shop. We don't
Right.
ask how old you are, where you live, or how much money you make.
Where do you get that food from?
For the food pantry?
Yeah.
We get that from Whole Foods and Trader Joe's,
Oh, okay.
primarily.
Can't be.
It-
Can't beat that. Okay.
No, it's a lot of very good produce. The food commodity program is a once a month program.
Okay.
And that's 35 pounds of shelf-stable food.
Now, how do people carry that?
Well, they know to bring their shopping cart
Okay.
with them.
Okay.
Maybe not the first time.
I hope the young
certainly
people are the ones that
thereafter.
hand that out.
Exactly. We have we even advertise for young muscle.
Young muscle, I love it.
35-pound boxes
Right.
are a lot to schlep, and they can't have the boxes. We have to recycle those. So they can only have the 2 bags inside, and the cheese.
And the cheese.
And the cheese, yes.
Now, we're talking about all these volunteers. What is it that they get out of this?
Well,
I know what I get out of it.
well, the young volunteers come to us for many reasons. One is for the SHOP program. It's because they have a community service obligation.
Sure.
Some students and other young people come to me and say, you know, I love my grandfather or my grandmother and they passed, or they live in California with, you know, my uncle, and I really miss doing stuff with them. So they like to do that. We also have had young people who say, wow, these older people are so interesting. I mean, they really live this history that we're just talking about or reading about.
I get questions from my grandson, and in the same mode, I can tell that he's asking things because he knows I've seen them.
Right.
And so he'll ask about particular things, politics, science. He knows I have computer background. What were computers like then? I said,
Right.
well, a room and a half.
Yes.
It's like what your watch is. He said,
Yeah.
you're kidding. I said, well, I'm probably understating it because it was really larger.
But you know, it also shows them how a lot of seniors live, which is in a very small space,
That's right. Okay.
on a very limited budget. They may be paired up with someone from a totally different culture,
Great.
totally different background,
What about the languages?
language differences. It's another area that we do use young people is for translation.
Oh,
We have so many different languages spoken in seniors at the high school.
right. That's good. Oh, in the high school speak the different languages?
Yes,
Like Chinese and Mandarin?
Chinese, Mandarin, Cantonese, Russian,
Right.
so it's very helpful.
Excellent. And how long do the actual programs, someone who volunteers, is it for a semester, for a semester in high school or a term? A year or?
We say it's school year for the students.
Okay.
However, we have students who volunteer through the school year, and then they'll say, you know, I really can't afford to go and do anything this summer. I'm going to be hanging around. Is there anything we can help with? And one year we had 2 young girls, and they came and they put in each 240 hours in the summer.
Oh, wow.
They volunteered in the lunch program in the kitchen, for
That's great.
the food pantry, anything.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
So students, speaking of the students, the SHOP program. What is the SHOP program?
So the SHOP program is the collaboration between the high school and the senior center.
Okay.
It was started as a win-win, and
Right.
it is a win-win because the students can fulfill their community service requirement, and the seniors who can't get out and do their shopping can do that.
Okay. So we are planning on bringing Nick Brown for the next part of the program, and he works with the SHOP program.
He is the student coordinator at the high school. We have a faculty member who's the overall coordinator at the high school.
Okay, and he acts as the student coordinator.
Yes, so he hooks up students with the seniors whose names I send to him.
And is he actually trains them, and he?
No, he doesn't do the
Okay.
training. I do the orientation.
Got it. Okay. And so we're going to bring him out. Let's do that.
Great.
And continue our discussion shortly with Nick. SHOP. What does SHOP stand for? We brought Nick out, Nick Brown, and you're the student coordinator?
Yeah. So I've been coordinating the SHOP Club for 2 years, and SHOP stands for Students Helping Older People.
Great. And where are you? What school are you from?
I attend Brookline High School. I'm a junior, so 11th grade.
Is the program run actually out of the Brookline High School? Is it or is it run from the senior center, or both?
It's a collaboration.
Okay, great. And how long have you been doing it?
So I actually joined SHOP freshman year, like right at the start of the year, and I joined because my brother, he did it before me, and he was like, Nick, you got to try out this incredible club. I had such a great time doing it, and now after 3 years, I'm running it.
Oh, great! That's excellent. And how do you get people to come in and join it? Do you recruit? Do you help recruit?
I actually do a lot of recruiting. Recently, I've grown the club, so it's now actually the biggest club in the high school. And we do a lot of things. So I'll post on Facebook to a lot of people. I've spoken to the entire freshman class once. Next week, I'm going to be doing a presentation on community service and ways you can try to, help out in your community to high schoolers interested. So I do a lot of community outreach.
And how do you actually get the assignments to people? Patricia, do you match them up? The match we were talking about earlier. Right?
I don't match them up. What I do is when a senior calls me,
Right.
Or sometimes we get a referral from a social worker that a senior needs help, then I call the senior and talk to them, and then I give the information to Nick, and Nick finds his volunteers.
Finds his match.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Finds his
So he's the matchmaker at the high
So
school.
do you recruit at that point, or you already have a list of names by then?
So at the beginning of the year, I sent out an enormous survey looking at where students are and where they're willing to shop around them. And I break it down to elementary school districts. And then I match up students with people that are in need of assistance in those school districts.
So what do they actually do? Tell me what the person helping someone shop does.
So the person helping shop, what they'll do is they'll go get to the house or apartment of the older person they're assisting, and they'll get the shopping list and the money, and then go over to the grocery store. They'll get all the groceries. If they don't have it, what I'll do is I'll personally call the person I shop for. Her name's Rosalind, and so I'll call Rosalind and be like, oh, they don't have this. Would you want this other thing instead? And then I go check out and I get the receipt, because you always need the receipt when you're shopping for someone else, and then go back, and then usually we'll then help and put away the groceries.
Great.
And then sometimes we stay a little bit to talk as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's also, I think it's a lifetime skill, really, because I'm sure many of the students haven't done their own grocery shopping yet. And So when they come back, it's not only helping put them away, but it's checking what you've got against the list, against the receipt, to make sure that everything is matching up.
And
We only allow them to take cash to pay.
right.
Some seniors say, oh, I'll just sign this blank check, and they can fill it out, or they can have my EBT card or my charge card. No.
Good, good. So you've got to check on what things, how
Sure.
things are operating, and they're trained that way, and they're aware of that they're in a sensitive position. So they.
Yeah, we go over all
students
of that
themselves,
during orientation.
Yeah. I mean, it really sounds both very useful. I mean, I can see, for instance, if I knew I was going in for surgery, I was perfectly fine. I could ordinarily shop myself, and I wanted somebody to come help me. What would I do?
You call me, preferably ahead of your surgery, but
Okay.
it could be when you got home, and say, you know, I need someone. I don't need someone all the time,
Right.
but I'm going to need somebody for a while.
Excellent. And I would call you at the senior center?
Yep.
Okay. And you would, and then this process would take place that we just
Yes.
described. And that's very good. What about the other programs? Would we also call you that way?
Yes.
Okay. So that's easy. Everybody knows. Either everybody knows the senior center, or it'd be wonderful if they learn about it. Start contacting.
We encourage people to come in for one thing, because we know they'll get hooked.
So this is something you enjoy doing?
Oh, I love it. I've been doing it for 3 years. Actually, the woman I shop for, Rosalind, I've known her for 3 years now, and I've gone every single Sunday. So I've been going a lot.
Great. Very, very good. So is there anything else you wanted to mention before we proceed with the rest of the...
Yeah. So one thing about the shop club that's really incredible is this whole part of the intergenerational connection, and I think that's a large thing that a lot of students are missing that they really gain. And also, what we also can provide can even be like world changing for some seniors. Where, for example, I was told by one volunteer that the woman they shop for told her that like she wouldn't be able to live in her housing if she didn't have this program because she can't afford Peapod. And so just by having like us come and buy the groceries for her, that small like surcharge she's saving is what allows her to stay living in her apartment.
That's wonderful, and ties into some other programs we're doing related to housing and being able to live in community and age in housing. I mean, this is...
We also had one young man who had been shopping for his, and they do say my senior,
Yeah.
for 3 years, and then the woman went into a nursing home, so obviously she did not need shopping anymore. And that young man went and visited her in the nursing home every week instead of shopping for her.
Great.
So they really do form
Most
serious relationships and friendships.
Well, it's pretty exciting, actually.
Yeah.
You tell me that. It gives me chills because it ties into so many other things in our community and our age-friendly community. So, thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you for having me.
Well, that was really great. I really enjoyed that. Nick's exciting. I mean, he likes what he's doing, and obviously the people he works with like it. And I love that he called that it's a club. I mean,
Yes.
there's this activity, this high school activity that's a club that supports people living. I will say the one thing that came up to me is that if it's that important to people, keep it going, Patricia,
yes.
please.
We've been doing this for many years.
Great.
And it was rather funny at the orientation because they had assigned me a room and the bells rang and kids started coming in the room. But the first 12 were boys. And I thought, oh, I hope they don't think this is soccer sign-up. But because people always think that it must be
Right.
just girls who are
Right.
doing the shopping, but in fact it's not.
Okay, so we had a few other things that we were hoping to be able to get to. Can you bring them up? One was the lunch, I think.
Yes. So we have a daily lunch program at the senior center, and it's for a $2 donation, which if you don't have it, you don't have it. You still can eat. You can get a full meal at lunchtime. This is very important. It's not only sometimes the only source of a full meal for many seniors,
Right.
but it gets them out of their house. It helps them socialize at lunch
So
program.
important. That's so important.
And then they usually stay for, well, if it's Tuesday, they stay for the free movie, or they go to bingo, or they go to some other program in the building. So they're really getting out, and they can get the van or the elder bus.
Excellent. Yeah, transportation's another issue. We'll get into
Yes.
and other programs.
And then we have special events. This Sunday we're having one that's called Coming to America. It's about the immigration issue.
Okay.
We have plays. We have Romeo and Juliet coming up in April. We have musical performances that happen, and students come and help with that as well. They'll either check people in, seat people, help with refreshments.
Now, all volunteers are not students. Are there any older people that volunteer and help in the same programs?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
As old as me?
The majority of our, oh, yes. We have, our oldest volunteer is 97 years old. And
That's old enough.
she volunteers every day in the lunch program.
That's great.
And she said it is the reason she gets out of bed and gets dressed every day.
That's really great. I mean, as I said, the interaction to me
Right.
is really important, and that more and more people are realizing that. I think that
Yes.
that to have a place like the community, like the senior center, I call it senior community center because it is like a community center.
Right.
To me. So to have a place like that to go to, and a reason to, which is what you're describing, which is
We also have one-off things. Brookline Recreation After School Program called us before the holidays. They said that they wanted to be able to do something, the kids did.
right.
So I suggested maybe they make cards for the seniors, which they did. And a Girl Scout group from Heath School came. It happened to be school vacation when it was our Brookline volunteer luncheon,
Right.
appreciation luncheon. And they came and helped pass out the party favors and the cupcakes and helped clean up. And a kindergarten class decorated little tea lights at the holidays and brought them in for the seniors. So we try and accommodate people who ask for an opportunity.
Well, I've really enjoyed this. I must tell you, I've really enjoyed this. This was very different from any of our other shows, and a very good time. And when I go in the senior center and I see what's happening, now I'll understand.
Yes.
That's really great. Thank you. I want to thank everybody else for attending and for watching our show. The credits afterwards have all of the volunteers and the donations, the companies that donate and the people that volunteer. And I want to acknowledge the help of all the people that helped both this program and that help your program constantly. So I think they should be recognized and people should realize that they do that. Remember again, the program will be rebroadcast over several weeks after this, many times. And in addition, of course, it's available, the link is available on the Brookline Can website and on the Brookline Can Twitter and Facebook accounts. Thank you very much. Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you.